What's going on, guys, and welcome back to another video. Today we're going to look at how to build a basic translator app in Python. So essentially we can take a phrase or a word and we'll be able to translate it into a different language. So over here, this little file, and it basically specifies this language that I made up. So I'm going to call it the quickling language. So in the quickling language, all vowels become the letter G. For example, if I want to translate an English word into a quickling word, I'll look through the word dog, and in any instances where there is a vowel, so dog would map to DGG, cat would map to CGT. So those are the basic translation rules. Obviously it's a pretty simple language, but you get the point. So any vowel is going to become a G, and then we'll get the quickling language. So I'm going to build a quickling translator over here in our Python file. Let's start making this translator. The first thing I'm going to do is define a translation function. So I'm going to make a function here and I'm going to call it translate. And inside of these parentheses, we want to take one piece of information, which is going to be the phrase that we want to translate. So I'm going to say phrase, and now inside of this function, we need to figure out how we can translate English into our quickling language. Well, remember the rule is that any vowel becomes the letter G. So the first thing I want to do is create a variable, and this variable is going to be the translation. So this will be like the final result that's going to return to the user. So I can say translation for now, and I'm going to set this equal to an empty string. So for now, this is going to be like a completely empty string, and it's not going to do anything for now. And basically we want to loop through every letter inside of this phrase, and if it's a vowel, we want to change it to the letter G, and if it's not a vowel, we want to leave it alone. And we're essentially going to be looping through phrase, and we're going to be adding the letters to this translation one by one. So to do this, I'm going to make a for loop. I'm going to say for letter in phrase, and now when I loop through here, I can access each individual letter instead of the phrase that they passed in. So what I want to do is check if that letter is a vowel or not, right? So if it's a vowel, we can add a G onto translation. If it's not a vowel, we can just add whatever letter that was onto translation anyway. So I'm going to use this if statement, and I'm going to say if, and there's actually this special thing we can do in Python. We can check to see if something is something else. I can say if letter in, and over here when I type out all the vowels, we can say A, E, I, O, U and A, E, I, O, U. So I'm basically checking to see if the letters inside of this string and if the letters inside of down here, then we'll know it's a vowel. Down here we can handle that case. I can say translation is equal to translate plus G, and if this letter is a vowel, we can just convert it into a G. Otherwise, I can basically just say translation is equal to translation plus letter. So in the case where we have a vowel, I'm adding a G onto translation. And in the case where we don't have a vowel, I'm just adding whatever letter it was onto translation. So finally, down below this for loop, we just want to return the translation. So I'm going to say return translation. Now we have an awesome translate function, and it should probably work. Let's come down here and we can test it out. Why don't you allow the user to input some information? So print this out, and I'm going to call this function translate, and inside of here I'm going to pass in whatever the user inputs. So I can say input, and inside of these parentheses I can prompt the user to enter a phrase. So for now I'm combining these statements together, and I'm saying I want to print out the translation of whatever the user enters. So let's go ahead and run the program and we'll see what we can do. It says enter a phrase. Let's go ahead and do that. For this example, we'll use one that we have used before. So I'm going to say dog, and now when I press enter, it prints out DGG. And then we can keep running it as many times as we want. So I could type in like to be or not to be, and this is a bit longer of a string, and as you can see, it translates it to our quickling language. So that's the basics of how we can create our translator app. So as you can see, we're using a for loop in combination with an if loop, and that's a really powerful structure. And there's actually one place over here where we can make this a little bit more efficient. So instead of saying if letter in the string, you'll notice that I'm checking to see if they're all lowercase and uppercase. I would actually just say if letter dot lower, and now I'll only have to type out the lowercase letters, and it's still gonna do the exact same thing. So that's a little hack we can use. There's also one more problem with this program. So you'll notice down here we're setting this translation equal to translation plus G, but the problem is that if I was to start my word instead of this phrase with a capital vowel, in other words, if I said on, you'll notice that when this gets printed out, it's printed out as lowercase GN, and it's not keeping our uppercase syntax, and that's kind of a problem. So I actually use another if statement in here, and I could check to see if letter dot is upper, and we could check if letter dot is upper, and if letter is uppercase, we're going to set that translation equal to the translation plus the capital G. Otherwise, we can just set it equal to the lowercase g. So now we're able to control both of those situations. Let's test this to see if it works. So over here it's prompting me to enter in a phrase. I'm going to keep it the same. I'm going to say on, and I'm going to click enter while keeping that capital letter. So those are just a couple different ways that we can make our program a little bit better. But the basic concept is that we have a for loop and then we have some loops inside of it, but we're not calling this awesome function that can translate a word for us. And that's it for this one. If you enjoyed or found this video helpful in any way, shape or form, then consider leaving a like and subscribing. Turn on post notifications to be the first to know when I upload a new video. Also, if you have any suggestions or any questions or anything, comment them down below. And until next time, thanks for watching. Peace.